Welcome to this deep dive. Our mission, as always, is to take your source material and really zero in on what's most insightful, what's relevant for you.
And today, we're digging into a really interesting piece. It's from Best Holistic Life magazine, written by Al Wynant.
Right. It's called Finding Clarity in Slow Healing.
Yeah, and this article, it really tackles something fundamental, doesn't it? That whole journey of healing after, well, after something significant happens in your life.
Yeah, but it does it in a specific way. It kind of pushes back on the usual story.
Exactly. It talks about it when those feelings you expect, like clarity or gratitude, this big transformation, when they just don't show up right away.
Mm-hmm. It contrasts those sort of popular narratives with the author's own much different reality.
Right. So our aim here is to unpack what this article shares. What does it actually say about the recovery process itself?
And what about the pressures, internal, external? What might come up?
And maybe most importantly, where does the author suggest we can find true meaning? Based on his own pretty difficult experience and the research he did too.
Okay, so the article kicks off with, wow, quite a moment. It's pretty grounding.
Yeah, he recounts his doctor telling him, if you had waited another week or two, you wouldn't have made it.
Wow. Yeah. That kind of sentence just completely changes your perspective, your whole world.
Absolutely jarring. And it's key to get this. He's not writing this looking back years later, all healed up.
No, he's right in the middle of it still. He mentions he can't walk normally yet.
Still has a 247 IV line, navigating new meds, huge lifestyle shifts.
And he's clear, he's not sharing this for sympathy. It's more to shed light on an experience that maybe doesn't get talked about enough.
Mm-hmm. And the core struggle he really lays out there is this disconnect between what he thought it would be like and what it is like.
He expected, didn't he, that after surviving something so critical...
Yeah, he thought he'd feel this, instant wave of clarity, overwhelming gratitude, this burning desire to seize every single day. But he admits, quite honestly, he hasn't felt that huge seismic shift.
Which leaves him wondering, okay, does that feeling come later? Or maybe it doesn't come at all?
And that's really where the deep dive starts, isn't it? He points out how our common stories, like in the media or even personal anecdotes we share,
they often frame survival as leading straight to this immediate, profound spiritual awakening. It seems almost automatic in those portrayals.
But his experience, feeling lost, maybe numb, even disappointingly unchanged, not instantly clear or enlightened.
So that brings up a really crucial question the article tackles head on.
Which is that feeling, or maybe that lack of feeling after trauma, is that actually normal?
And what does the article find?
Well, the research it draws on suggests a pretty resounding yes. Transformation isn't usually an overnight thing. It's not a switch you flip.
So many people, just like the author, they find themselves grappling with confusion, exhaustion.
Right. And a real lack of those expected aha moments. The article is really clear. There's no single right way to process something like a brush with mortality or any major life crisis.
Healing just unfolds, doesn't it? At its own pace, in its own way, for everyone.
Exactly. Its own pace, its own way.
Okay, so let's unpack the main reason he explores for why that immediate clarity might be so hard to find. He thinks it's rooted in the body, right? Still being in survival mode.
Yeah, and this is fascinating, the biological side of it. A life-threatening event, it's not just mental. It puts your whole physical system on high alert.
You get flooded with stress hormones.
Cortisol, adrenaline, yeah.
Yeah.
They flood your nervous system.
Yeah.
And while they're absolutely vital for getting you through the crisis,
they stick around.
They linger. Exactly. They keep the body in this state of hypervigilance long after the actual danger has passed. Your body is still fundamentally prioritizing basic survival.
So essentially, your physical self is still kind of fighting the battle, or at least recovering from it, deep down biologically. And until that system starts to, calm down, the mental space, the emotional bandwidth needed for that deep thinking, for processing gratitude, for getting that clarity, it's just not there.
It's like the bandwidth is totally maxed out on just keeping things running.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's a powerful reminder of that mind-body connection, isn't it?
Absolutely inseparable. And as if that internal state wasn't enough to deal with, the article points to another big factor.
The external pressure.
Yes. He talks about that unspoken societal expectation.
We do tend to romanticize survival stories, don't we? We expect survivors to come out the other side just like shining with gratitude.
Yeah, with this intense new lease on life, ready to live every moment to the absolute fullest. It's almost like this expectation of achieving some kind of post-trauma enlightenment.
And that pressure just completely ignores the reality that healing is, well, it's messy. It's not linear.
And finding meaning isn't like flipping a light switch. The article's insight here is really strong, I think. It says instead of forcing yourself to feel what you think you should feel.
Just give yourself permission.
Exactly. Give yourself permission to be exactly where you are in the process. There's no, like, performance requirement. You don't have to perform being transformed for anyone, including yourself.
That really resonates. It's about accepting your actual journey, not comparing it to some simplified, ideal story.
And if we loop this back to the main question, finding clarity, finding meaning, the article then starts exploring where you might actually find it if those big epiphanies aren't happening.
Right. This is where it gets really interesting, I think. Instead of looking for that huge, overwhelming feeling.
Yeah, that instant gratitude or profound transformation.
The article suggests maybe shift your focus. Look for smaller things, quieter shifts.
Like, have you become maybe just a little more patient with yourself? That counts.
Or are you noticing simple things, savoring everyday moments in maybe a slightly new way?
It's about acknowledging those subtle evolutions, how you interact with your life, with the world. Holistic healing, which this magazine focuses on, encourages seeing that whole picture of wellness.
And that includes recognizing these often unnoticed emotional shifts, spiritual shifts perhaps, not just waiting for some big dramatic revelation.
So the transformation isn't necessarily like a sudden lightning bolt hitting you.
No, maybe it's more like watching the tide come in. You might not see the exact movement minute by minute.
But over time, you look back and the change is definitely there. It's significant.
Exactly. And okay, for those times when clarity still feels really far off, the article does offer some practical things, active ways to explore the process.
Yeah, it lists a few really valuable tools. Journaling is a big one.
He mentions that's a personal favorite for him, right? Just writing down thoughts, feelings without censoring, without expecting anything specific. That can be incredibly revealing.
Mindfulness and meditation are in there too, which makes sense.
How so?
Well, those practices can help calm a nervous system that's still, recovering. They foster awareness of your internal state.
Potentially making space to notice those subtle emotional changes we were just talking about.
Right. They help quiet some of that mental noise.
Therapy or professional coaching is another one mentioned.
Yeah. Talking with a therapist who really gets trauma or major life transitions can provide guided support, help make sense of the experience, the aftermath.
And a connection, community.
Vital, it says. Sharing experiences with others who've been through similar things can normalize those feelings of uncertainty. It reduces isolation, offers new perspectives.
So all of these are framed as like actively engaging with what's happening rather than just passively waiting for a feeling to show up.
Yes. Ways to meet yourself right where you are.
Which leads the author to what he thinks might be the most profound lesson of all from his experience and research.
Which is?
Acceptance.
Acceptance. That feels right.
Acceptance that healing, well, it doesn't follow a neat timeline or a predictable path.
Acceptance that personal growth, while it's real, doesn't always come announced with, trumpets and fanfare.
And acceptance that the deeper meaning of it all, of surviving, of the challenge you faced, it might not be clear today or even years from now.
It's really about embracing the journey itself, isn't it? The reality of it with all the ups and downs, the plateaus.
Instead of just fixating on reaching some specific dramatic transformation endpoint.
The article seems to imply the lesson might be found in that quiet, sometimes frustrating realization that life just keeps going, moment by moment, breath by breath.
And there's value in that continuity itself, meaning in just being here.
And the author's own state as he's writing this piece really drives that home.
Yeah, he's still right there in the thick of recovery. Four attached, steps are unsure.
But he's actively looking for that clarity he expected. He's open.
And he ends with this really beautiful thought, doesn't he?
Yeah, that maybe the clarity he's searching for isn't something totally new that needs to arrive from outside.
But something that was maybe subtly unfolding all along.
Exactly, just waiting for him to recognize it. In the quiet moments, away from all the noise of expectation.
Okay, so just to wrap up, we've explored this perspective from the Best Holistic Life article. It really offers a counterpoint, a different view to that common story of instant transformation after a big life event.
We've seen how the reality of healing, both physically and emotionally, can be, well, slow, often nonlinear. It can be hindered by the body still being stuck in that survival state.
And by those external pressures we feel, right, to be immediately and profoundly changed.
And instead of just waiting for some grand epiphany, the article really encourages looking for the shift in smaller, quieter ways.
Like noticing if you have a bit more patience with yourself, maybe? Or finding new ways to savor really simple, everyday moments.
It also strongly advocates for actively engaging with the whole process, using tools like journaling, mindfulness, maybe therapy, or connecting with community.
Ultimately, the biggest takeaway from this source, it feels like it's about cultivating acceptance.
Acceptance of the timeline, whatever it is. Acceptance of the process as it actually unfolds for you.
And trusting that meaning might just reveal itself gradually, bit by bit, rather than all at once in some dramatic flash.
And just remember the author's possession as he writes this.
Yeah.
Still very much on his path, facing real physical challenges day to day.
Yet he's open to discovery and open to that possibility that clarity in some form is already there.
Which leads us, and you, with this thought to may mellow over. If, like the author suggests, clarity or meaning might already be subtly present in our lives, just waiting to be recognized even during really hard times.
What could that mean for you in your own experiences of difficulty or change? How might practicing acceptance of the messy, nonlinear reality of it all actually help you notice the subtle shifts in perspective that might already be happening inside you right now?